So Rosemary, you came back a second time. You were willing to put yourself through this again.
Yeah.
Why?
I love the Lynn Shelton experience. I love the depth of the female characters, quite honestly, and I love the freedom that Lynn gives her actors to find moments and how she doesn't know. She knows what story she wants to tell, but she's open to have it be a story that changes in the shooting of it, and that just gives actors, and I think DPs and everyone on the creative side, real places to go and real places to stretch and grow.
So if it was frightening the first time, it was more something you looked forward to the second time?
Yeah, the frightening isn't the word I would use. It was exhilarating the first time. I loved working without a safety net. I love shooting that much material in one day. To me, it feels like theater, where you really have an experience, not all disembodied, it's lived in. This one I was more terrified of because I am shot my hand. I was, because I didn't fully understand what was going on with Abby. I couldn't understand what was happening, and Lynn thought, well, that's okay, she doesn't really understand it either. And I think it is true in life when we're, quote, in it. It's a mystery. So, because it was odd to me that when she would talk to her dear friend, Allison Janney's character, she wouldn't say, I'm having this thing with bodies and this, and that is what we do in life. We don't process things well, and it takes us a long time to figure out what's going on. And so there was something, this one was a lot more grueling, even though I think the restraint on Lynn's part with the actors, like the performances are not big, emotional, explosive scenes. It's a very subtle movie to me.
I liked it when you and Josh finally did get it, have a bit of a brother-sister spat. I was happy when you did
me
that.
Me too, yeah.
So was that a tough one to do, that particular scene? Just talk about that.
Was it tough?
Well, it's funny because I forget. That was one of the scenes that we were really trying to kind of find, and I had written a version, but I wasn't completely satisfied with how it just was on the page. And so we kept trying. We did a lot of different versions. Yeah. We kept going through and say more about all this intricate backstory that we had developed. That would all come out, and then in the edit room it was clear that it wasn't necessary or working, to have it all out. And so, it was. I remember on set feeling like, okay, let's do it this way. Okay, let's try it another way, and okay, that's interesting, and all right, that might be something there, and then just feeling like, all right, I think it's in there. I think I have enough, that I'll be able to piece it together and find a version that works. But it was one of those ones where you guys were sort of, we were all three of us just really digging.
We knew we needed it, but we also weren't at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We still had a long ways to go.
Yeah, and so we were trying to accomplish different things in it.
That felt more like your sister.
Yeah,
because that's how
definitely.
We worked that way.
Right.
Where we would just throw out the scene and try it again. From scratch.
Let's try this totally
Can you tell me a little more technically? The camera's rolling. It's a digital camera.
Yep.
And
there's two.
There's two of them.
Right. Because if you're improvising, it's really helpful to have one on each actor, and it's very easy when there's only two actors. And then you never have to worry about whether if something happens that's just magical in the moment. You don't have to try to recreate it, or ever have to do the exact same lines again. Because normally you have a script that is written, you have a few lines that are written, and then you get those same lines from every different angle. You have one camera and you move it, and then you change the lighting and you move it to the other side so you get a reaction. But it has to be the same every time, so they'll all match up in the edit room. And when you have two cameras in cross coverage, it's called, you don't have to ever worry about that because you already have instantaneous coverage on both sides.
And do you keep it rolling for a long time? Mm-hmm. Like 20 minutes or something?
Yeah, you set up the lights and you just roll for as long as.
And then you say, do it again, or.
Yeah,
do you
we'll
get in the
readjust.
face of the actor, like David O. Russell or something?
I'm not a big. I really don't. Yeah, and I really have an aversion to interrupting the flow of a scene. And I'll do it sometimes, but not very often. often.
You wouldn't. I did a phone call with Scoot's character. He called me. He was home in LA, and he called in, and he was just half asleep when he did it or something. And I said something, and he just completely didn't respond. I don't. He just gave me this crazy response, and I started cracking up. But Lynn won't yell cut because she thinks something really cool might happen. So but I couldn't get it together. I mean, I laughed. We just like 10 minutes of footage. We kept going. And then I'm like, I don't know. I could maybe roll this into crying if that's useful, because I just didn't know why she didn't yell cut, but she really doesn't.
I was fascinated by whatever was going on. But yeah, I feel like there's this sacred zone that actors get into, and even when actors tell me, no, it's okay, interrupt us or feed us a line, I find that if I do that, I can just see that little bubble getting burst, and there's something gets lost there. Because I used to hate it when I was an actor. I remember being in that zone with another performer, and then getting pulled out of it just felt like, this sharp shock. So
They yell, pick up the coffee cup. Pick it up.
oh God.
So I was looking, so Tom Hooper talks about having to audition all the actors to be able to do live singing. In a funny way, you have to audition all your actors to be able to do live acting.
And I haven't figured out how to do the improvisation.
How do you test someone?
You can't. I mean, I have never attempted it because it's different than the kind of improv that's like,
A
imagine there's
comedian
cup
like
and-
Robin
Yeah,
Williams or
exactly.
something. Yeah.
It's very, very different than that. I mean, it comes out of, they're working together to develop the characters and backstory and sort of, there's a lot of stuff that happens before you get on set to actually improvise. And so it's always a little bit of a roll of the dice when I'm working with something new. I'm going by instinct, When I cast her in Your Sister's Sister, she has such intelligence and such incredible naturalism. She makes scripted performances feel improvised. For some reason, to me, that just felt like, well, clearly she'll be able to do this. And if she wants to, then the desire has to be there too, But it's total instinct.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't turn you on as an actor if it doesn't turn you on.
Right.
People wouldn't say yes.
Yeah.
Like Allison Janney probably had a wish to see what that was like.
And she
And
said to me on
Ellen-
the phone, I've
go ahead.
never done this before, ever. And I was like, I can't believe that's true. She said, I know, it's crazy that all these years have gone by and I've never improvised, but I really never have. I might suck at it. And I said, I doubt that very much, but I understand. Thank you. Please come to Seattle.
Well, is there a couple of days when people sort of get their sea legs, or?
Sure, yeah, and figuring out because I was a little bit wishy-washy about how much we would stick to the script, because I wasn't really sure. I was sort of open to, but sometimes, I remember the very first time, you brought up the first time that we shot, I think we shot a bunch of scenes with you alone, and then Scoot arrived, and we shot a couple scenes with him, and he was really like sticking to the script, and you were like straight off of Your Sister sort of going into that, and I think it was sort of a shock to him, and so
He
I was
was looking at
trying
me
to
like,
find
what is she doing?
what's going on. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, I talked to you about this thing called improv, and so we had to kind of find, and then he did, and then he found the way, and but sort of everybody has to kind of be on board, or it's not going to work either. So